In Brazil in 2025, a new war is being fought, but it's not against crime and much less against an external enemy. The battle now is to find a shelf stocker. Supermarkets all over the country are asking the army for help. There are more than 350,000 open positions and almost no one willing to fill them.
The supermarket sector has been facing difficulties, pay attention, in hiring.
Supermarkets face a challenge when it comes to filling 8 out of the 10 most common positions in the sector.
São Paulo alone has around 35,000 available positions.
There's a shortage of labor, there's a lack of people to work.
Today, the most read article on the UOL page, and that gets a lot of views, right, is a piece talking about the shortage of labor in supermarkets.
The supermarket owner in Patos de Minas is forced to close the bakery section due to a lack of labor.
The question is inevitable. What is happening with the job market in Brazil? From the battlefield to the butcher's counter, why are soldiers being called up to become manual laborers inside a supermarket? The answer is hidden not only in economic data, but in a much deeper crisis. A dignity crisis. In April 2024, the Brazilian Supermarket Association revealed 358,000 positions are not being filled, including butcher, forklift operator, stock clerk, and warehouse worker. As part of the solution, supermarkets launched a platform to recruit former members of the Brazilian army, yes, soldiers to cut meat. It's true that Brazil has millions of unemployed people, so why do these positions remain open? Because in reality, these aren't jobs, they're punishments. Most of these positions offer salaries close to the minimum wage, with long hours, exhausting physical labor, and abusive targets. According to Pontifical Catholic University of Rio Grande do Sul, more than 42% of retail workers report symptoms of burnout. Many others develop chronic muscular diseases before the age of 40. The question then is not, why does no one want to work? It's, why do we still call this work? Let's set up a simple equation. Miserable wages, plus absurd shifts from Sunday to Sunday, plus no prospects for career advancement, plus overtime that actually just goes into the useless time bank, plus daily humiliation from customers and supervisors. It's impossible not to end up with a labor shortage as a result. They complicate things, blaming the new generation's laziness. But the truth is that this generation is waking up and has realized that in fact this system is unsustainable. Brazil has created a generation of young people who would rather work informally, sell candy, or drive a motorcycle than accept a job that drains their soul. We have a country with a lot of poverty, hunger, unemployment, and hundreds of thousands of job openings that nobody wants. But maybe the problem was never a lack of work. It was the lack of a national project that truly values those who work in jobs where society sees them as robots or even as invisible people. And when not even that is discussed, absurd solutions arise, like calling up recruits to become stock clerks, butchers, or cashiers. And if you stop to think about it, the use of army veterans is no mere coincidence. The rigid, hierarchical, and disciplined military logic fits perfectly for a system that doesn't want employees, but actually wants obedient soldiers who silently accept exploitation. Military personnel are accustomed to taking orders, handling pressure, and enduring humiliation for a greater mission. And the supermarket became just another mission, only now without any honor. So, our country turned into a cycle of recycling misery. And while you're listening to this, there are people stacking boxes for 8 hours straight, earning a salary that barely covers the rent. A major hidden culprit here is the notorious 6 days on, 1 day off schedule. You work 6 days a week with only 1 day off, sometimes fixed, sometimes rotating. It's a system that prevents any stability in life outside of work. Speaking from experience, I worked 7 months in a supermarket. I know very well what it's like to live inside what we used to call an open-air prison. If I hadn't lived through that, maybe I'd even think all this talk was an exaggeration, but it's not. It's real. It's cruel. Of course, implementing changes like ending the 6-to-1 schedule is seen as something that will break the economy. To better illustrate this, please watch this excerpt from Jose Kobori.
And here, since I mentioned the media, right, these media outlets, I'm going to read some news articles here for us, just two, right, as I'm wrapping up the video. The sudden end of the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule is currently a major national issue. Ending the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule is a nightmare for the retail sector. Ending the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule is the key demand, as resolving it affects property rights, prosperity, integrity, and the country's future. The sudden abolition of the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule is therefore a matter of general national interest, a political issue, an administrative issue, and an economic issue. This is a piece of news that appeared in the newspaper Pacotilla on October 10, 1884. From 1884, I also switched the words here, from slavery to the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule, just so you could see that the news I read made sense. Now I'll read the original one. Sudden abolition of the servile element. Servile element means slavery, okay? Sudden abolition of the servile element is the great national issue at this moment. Abolishing the servile element suddenly is commerce's nightmare. The immediate end of the servile element should be the main focus of the province's great and patriotic public opinion. Abolishing the servile element is the key issue. Its resolution affects property, integrity, and the country's future. The sudden abolition of the servile element is therefore a matter of general national interest, a political issue, an administrative issue, and an economic issue. This is the press I mentioned earlier that delayed the slave trade ban for 15 years. A law was finally passed in 1831. And the press? This here is an article, actually. This is a book, okay? I'll even put the link here to a thesis that later became a book that talks exactly about the role of the press, which managed to delay the end of slavery for a long time.
The history of the working class's struggle to achieve more dignity has always been deeply frowned upon by those in power, or at least by those who control power indirectly through the media. When even soldiers need to be called in to restock shelves, maybe the enemy is something else. Maybe Brazil is at war with its own working people, and this war is often silent. But it is brutal every day for those who live the reality of working in a supermarket. We are currently living what Professor Ricardo Antunes called the privilege of servitude. I'd like to hear a bit more from you. Share your opinion here in the comments. Would you accept a job where the salary doesn't cover your own survival? If not, then maybe you understand a bit why they're calling soldiers to slice meat or restock a tomato. Tell me if you've ever experienced something like this, or if you know someone who works at a supermarket and lives this reality. Share your opinion here. Let's bring this discussion to light.